What's the story behind the album? Robotika was the hardest album I've ever had to write. I was fighting chronic illness. My body was failing me, and my mind couldn't cope. I was very sick for the duration, and all I could write were really dark songs. Not in the romantic or self-obsessed way which had inhabited previous Zup albums, all of which I had loved, but in a despondent and desperate way. I was in a state. I barely had the energy to plug in and play. I've often said of my previous albums, mostly written when my heart was broken, that they saved my life. But Robotika didn't save my life. It kept me alive, but as a hostage, and I was barely functioning. And the only way I managed to keep going was to think of my body and my mind as a machine. A very broken machine. Going through the motions, relying on repetition. So Robotika is blood and rust and spare parts. Trying to get shiny again, trying to mend. But what if I can build a better me? A shinier me, a newer me, a me that doesn't break down. An android, a machine, a robot. I want to live. What were your musical influences? The album sounds really post-punk. It also sounds a bit heavier and a bit more drony than previous Zup albums. The beats and the hooks and the melodies and the vocals are sparse and repetitive, deliberately so. Because I found repetition really self-soothing. And so what I do when I leave the house or when I have to travel is I just put my headphones on. And I usually, if I'm anxious, I just play the same playlist on repeat. And I would love to tell you that the playlist is full of Susie and the Banshees and early PJ Harvey and The Cure and Hole and Joy Division and the Bad Seeds and all of that stuff, because that sounds cool. And that would tie into the album really nicely. But the truth is, I was mostly just listening to Julio Iglesias, who I've been listening to my whole life, since I was a tiny little bean in my mummy's belly. And so that goes back to the self-soothing. It just really calms me down. And so the singing style might deceptively sound like Susie or Polly Harvey, but that's not where I got it from. I got it from Julio. Are you making any more videos? Well, there's at least one more video still to come when the album's released, and I really have enjoyed making the videos this time. It's the first time I've used AI actually. I was really anti-AI, but now I see it as a tool and I embrace it. All the footage in the videos is actually animated stills and photos, and that goes back to the theme of androids and cyborgs and robots. This time round, I got to animate old Zup album covers. That was really cool. And also, I got to animate old photos of myself and even of my cat Fender. What's next for Zup? I haven't been playing many gigs for the last couple of years, and I really don't plan on playing lots of live dates. And that's because these days I just find it too exhausting and too draining, physically and mentally and emotionally. But I do want to play the new songs live a few times this year, so watch this space, particularly if you're based in Manchester. After that, I guess it's time to start working on the next Zup album. I really want to get stuck into that. I love writing new songs. And I think this time round, I want to write a pop album. Apart from that, I think I'd like to make some more short videos, maybe of friends' bands and stuff like that. I've learnt to really slow down this year and just enjoy the process. Just really enjoy the creative process. It had all got quite manic a couple of albums ago, and I was really pushing myself with gigs and promo, and it never felt good. It just felt like I was selling bits of my soul off, to be honest. And it got to a point where I was totally burnt out. And to the point where I could barely manage getting out of bed sometimes. Quod me nutri me destrui. So now I don't mind taking my time and just making music, because I absolutely love making music. Not for streams or plays or column inches, but just for the act of making. And I also just rest when I need to, and I meditate, and I stay hydrated. So here's to the next Zup album. And in the meantime, I hope you guys watching enjoy the new album Robotika and all the videos that I've made to go with it.